All right, to give you an overview of 1-point perspective, I'm going to start with showing you a couple pictures from the internet of different rooms. We're going to start with an interior view, and this is I just Googled living room, and it uses 1-point perspective where all of the angles of the furniture and the floor come back to 1 point in the middle, because we see this flat wall that we're standing square up against. Okay, there's as opposed to this one, which uses 2-point perspective where things are at an angle, so you'd have to have points off to the side of the picture to show the different the corner. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on a view that is flat up against the wall like that, where you can see the back wall as a rectangle. I'm going to say something else about using a picture like this as a reference for fine art drawing. If you're looking at this picture, these blacks, these strong contrasts are not helpful for showing anything about the light and the dark in the room. They kind of move your eye, bing, 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 just all of these different spots, and they are not very helpful in showing the form or the volume of the room. They really interfere. So you can still use a picture like this, but I would not go that dark in those places, because it doesn't really tell you that much about the light, and it isn't that effective for moving your eye through the composition. We're going to call this part of the picture the foreground, this part of the picture the background, and this part of the picture as the middle ground. All right, and we're going to call these verticals. These go straight up and down. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to use red colored pencil to show you vertical, wherever there's a vertical line, and I'm going to use a blue colored pencil anytime I'm teaching you how to go to the vanishing point with an angle. Because the rule for 1-point perspective is that if you have any verticals, they are perfectly vertical or perpendicular to the bottom of the page. Perpendicular again means at right angles to the bottom of the ground. Okay, so you see that right there. And those will be anything that's vertical, like the corners of the furniture, the corners of the wall, will be in red pencil, and anything that is to the vanishing point will be in blue. And if you want to see this, this is where the vanishing point is in this picture, because all of these pencil, if you follow the corners of the room, everything meets right here, and it's something that naturally occurs when you're looking at something. All right, and then as an artist, it's your job to figure out where that goes. This line right here is called the horizon line, which is where the floor meets the wall, and where that vanishing point is usually at your eye level. That's where your eye would be looking at that. All right, so when you're working from real life or a reference photo, those are really good things to know. All right. Hi there, we're going to start our tutorial on 1-point perspective by talking about pencils and looking at what the best place to start with a pencil is for this. Starting with a lighter pencil, harder lead like a 3H is a great way to start, because they make a very light mark, and they won't interfere, and they will be easy to erase. If you have a kit of any kind where the pencils range from 2H, H, F, HB, B, 2B, 3B, 4B, this is how they go from hard to soft, so light to dark, skinny lead to fatter lead. It's really graphite. This is an old set I have, but these work great for this. But if you only had this, you just press lighter at the beginning of the drawing and then press harder later when you want to really define what edges you like. A pencil sharpener is really handy. This is a 2-hole pencil sharpener that is by KUM, and it is really effective because you can get the first sharpening done with the and then you go to you start with number 1 and then you go to number 2 and you get a nice sharp point. Okay, so those are some things to get started. A vinyl eraser is great, and you can see this has some pink on it because I was erasing colored pencil. So it's a great idea to always clean off your eraser before you start to make sure you aren't spreading around colored pencil. And I like to have an extra brush. Any kind of paintbrush will do, one of those ones from the dollar store or whatever, to brush off instead of smearing and rubbing your lotion or oils from your hand. A ruler will be very helpful for this. It's not required, but if you could bring one, get one to use, that would be great. A clear one is the best, but it's not what you have to have. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the pencils. You don't have to get the whole set. You can put together a little mismatched kit of different hardnesses. If you were to just get to one in the H family and then one in the B family, you'd be in great shape. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a minute. All right, because we are going to start this without a ruler to give more of an approximation of how an artist might draw this from observation somewhere, we're going to make these long pulled lines, is what I call these, where my hand is resting on the pad of the paper and I'm pulling my hand straight down. This works particularly well working at a flat surface. It's a little harder to do at an easel, but artists actually practice this, and you can sort of feel the edge of your paper as a guide, and we're just making these as indications of what a vertical line really is like in here, so that we don't get our lines off to angles from the very beginning. I'm just going to erase that, and as I said, we're going to use a little brush if you have one. Old makeup brush might be good for that. Depends what you have laying around. All right, so we have a bunch of vertical lines, and we're going to use those when we start laying in where our furniture and floors and walls go. Okay, those will be our guidelines. Okay, you guessed it, we're going to go with our horizontal. And if you don't remember these horizontal and vertical, that's really important that you learn the difference between horizontal. Think about the horizon line where the earth meets the sky is horizontal, goes across. Horizon. And especially if you're a non-native English speaker, you know, could be a really new word for you. I have no idea. My second language I'm working on is Italian. I have no idea what it is in Italian, so I got you. All right, then we're going to estimate where the vanishing point is based on where we saw it in the picture. And can you see the picture here? So if the middle of the picture is about here, and we looked at where those vanishing lines or those angles went to, it's right about in the middle of this page. We do have the ceiling in there. It's a little lower than the center. So if the middle, here's how to find the middle of your paper. diagonal lines crossing, that's the very middle. Ours is, in this picture, is a little below, and it doesn't have to be in the center of the picture. We're going to put ours a little bit off the side to help remind you that that vanishing point does not need to go in the center of the paper. Now, I started with sort of some dark lines. Hopefully you can see those, but it's vertical, horizontal, and a couple of diagonals here just to go to find out where the middle of the page is, okay? I'm going to kind of get rid of those. I just needed to find the middle of the page. And you don't need all of this grid. It can get confusing, but it's helpful to have it there. That's why we're putting it there. All right, so now we're going to look at where the horizon line is of the floor. And I'm going to put it right here. Now, I'm not trying to copy that picture exactly because we are going to make our own drawing using that. Okay, now I told you where we're going to use vertical is going to be red and diagonals are going to be blue, but and the only thing that's going to be regular pencil is going to be anything that's horizontal. So I'm going to put in some lines for where the ceiling line is and where the floor line is. And then I'm going to look at where do I want the corner of my room to be. If I put it too far over here, I won't have much room for much furniture over there. So I've got to switch to red for my vertical line. And I'm going to make a vertical line for this corner of the living room right there. It's kind of a orangey red, but that's what it is. And now I'm going to use this vanishing point and align that lightly. I'm just going to travel lightly through here and not press down until I get to the line for where the ceiling is going to go. I'm going to do the same thing here, move from here to that corner. See that? The diagonal lines are going to be blue. I'm using these long pulled lines. Now, where will that floor be? It goes from here to here. Okay, so you want to visualize that. You can lay your pencil there. You can, if you don't have a ruler. So the size of this rectangle that I drew for this is about around 8 inches and around 6 inches tall. So I'm going to use this line connecting here. I don't press down when I'm in the room onto this back wall, but when I'm on the floor, I'm pressing down. All right, so now we have sort of like set the stage for where the larger objects are going to go. And I'm going to put in, looking at the reference, there's going to be a door over here. So the verticals are vertical. They never change. Like any trees, they stay vertical if you were doing a landscape. And we're using a regular pencil to do anything horizontal. I'm going to put some indications of where that window is, but no details yet, just sort of getting the main ideas. Now, the tops of the windows line up with that same line. The bottoms of the windows line up with where the bottom of the door window is. I'm just sort of making a bank of windows. There's a couple over there and a couple over here. Okay, and if this might make it easier to see, I'm going to erase those. All right, so now our vanishing point is still here. Horizontals are just horizontal, and they only occur, well, no, I'm not going to say that. All right, where's another horizontal and where's another vertical? Let's start by putting in the vertical for this chair that's in the foreground. Okay, so this can you see that? Left edge of that chair is vertical. And the edge of the arm happens to go to that vanishing point. So that's like that. And then the top of the edge of that chair is horizontal, like that arm, the edge of the arm there. And then I'm going to, these slanted lines right here are not to the vanishing point because they're not part of the room. They're like the furniture is just sort of randomly placed in there. So I'm going to just put in some lines to suggest, okay, the cushion is going to be here. You can see a little bit of the seat and the back. I moved mine over a little bit far so you don't see all of what's in the picture there. I think that goes a little straighter. I like to buy these eraser caps for that are white plastic. You can get those. I've seen them at the dollar store before, but Target has them, or art stores have them. Michael's has it. All right, so now we're going to look at some more verticals. Where they're vertical, let's look at where the couch goes, and you can see the alignment of, this is using visual measuring, like this edge of the couch lines up with where, a little bit past where that window is, and the edge of this one overlaps the door a bit. And you see I'm just making the verticals. I'm not putting in the whole piece of furniture yet. I'm gonna put in a vertical for this other chair over here, and there's another vertical for where its other arm goes. And I'm gonna use some, let's see, let's get some horizontals in now. For the back of the couch is just below the windows. We might leave out that radiator, I don't know. It's the back of the couch is just below the windows. It's like a radiator cover, I think. And then we have the arms. Let's see, this actually ends right here for the, so that's a vertical. For the edge of the couch, you can't see it that much because the pillows are covering it. And then I have a diagonal with the top of the arms of the couch goes to that vanishing point. And here's the vertical for the arm. I'm going to erase that horizon line because I think it might be confusing to see where the, you can't see it through the couch. So let's get rid of that. And then we have another vertical would be the edge, the back corner of that couch. And then we need to get the arm, goes to that, right to that vanishing point. And then there's another arm line for the thickness of the arm. And we're going to put this. Oh, I gotta switch. It's tricky to switch the pencils. You don't have to switch your pencils. If you want, it's great if you've got the red, blue, and yellow, plain graphite. So now we're sort of seeing, look how this couch is really coming together. It's like has some, we could put those pillows on there with some just lead pencil. We've got a lot of pillows here. I'm going to erase some of those lines that would not show through. All right, so you can see we're already getting our chair to look like it's in, or couch to look like it's in perspective. 1 point perspective. Okay. So erasing those extra lines, I'm going to just darken that for a second so you can see that. Now we're going to move to, where does this table go? The back edge of the table overlaps where that cushion is on the couch, right about here. And then you can see that the diagonal lines, this one goes to that vanishing point. I'm not sure. Yeah, that one goes about straight. And then we have the back of the, it's very sort of skinny. Maybe it goes about like that. Goes to just a little bit above the bottom of the couch. Okay, and then I'm going to do some verticals for the side of the table. And then it has that, the base of it is just, those aren't perspective lines, those are just design of the, that's going to be dark under there because of the shadow. Our light source is coming in from the window here, another quick line here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw for a little bit and on fast motion, and then you can watch along. So to wrap it up, we did the vertical lines with the red pencil, the diagonal lines with the blue pencil, and the horizontals in any place where there's some shadow. The light is coming from the back of this picture in for the window, so everything on this plane back here is going to be in shadow and getting a value, medium gray value in the back like that. And then I use these perspective lines back to the vanishing point to help accentuate a design on the rug. It could be a checkerboard if you want. The spaces get smaller as you go further back and larger as you come to the front or the foreground of the picture. But it gives you this sense of space, and I'm drawing with, like really fast, so the edges are not maybe as tidy as some of you might like. But you can always go tidier. It's hard to get that structure quickly if you're being overly precise, but this gives you that sensation of depth and one point perspective. So thank you, and let me know what questions you have. It's Deborah Brooks, Art Studio. Thanks for coming.